Okay, welcome to geometry. What a crazy year, huh? Here we are starting online, and I was asked by my colleagues to produce a video to review what you learned on your first day of school. So there's nothing new here. This is all a review of what you learned on our first day. The most important part of the first day was vocabulary. What kind of words your teacher's going to be using, what they mean, how to understand them. We're going to be learning a vocabulary all along, but we just wanted to get some critical words done so that you can understand your teacher better. So let's get started. The first one is, what is a point? Well, that seems pretty easy. A point is simply what it is. It's a point. Well, your teacher will represent it by a dot. And when they write a dot, when they reference a point, it's always a capital block letter. That's pretty simple. So here's point A. Here's point B. Now, anytime your teacher's writing a capital letter all by itself on the board, they're representing a point. Okay, first one done. That was easy. Let's move on. Okay, what is a line? Well, I'm going to take my same 2 points that I just drew, A and B. I'm going to grab a ruler and draw a line right through it. Now, what is a line? A line is a connected straight path that has no thickness and it continues on both directions forever. So when you draw a line, you add an arrowhead to both sides. That means it goes forever. Now, there's different ways to represent a line. I could use a lowercase cursive letter, and I could call this line lowercase cursive K. Or I could call it line AB and write a little arrowhead over both sides. Okay? Let me zoom in on that a little bit. Okay? Now, what if you put these letters in a different order? You say BA. Well, you know what? For a line, it won't matter. They both represent the same thing. Okay? So whenever you see those little arrowheads over the top, it means your teacher is representing a line. Okay. Now, what is array? Array is similar to a line. Let me put my document camera back up. Array is similar to a line in that if you have a point A and a point B, array starts at one point and goes forever and only in the other direction. So let's read the definition. Array is a portion of a line that starts at a point, the end point, and continues forever. Now, how would a teacher represent this when they're writing on their board? Well, it started at A and went to B. So you'd write one arrowhead above the 2 block letters. The 2 block letters represent points. Okay, so this is array A to B. Very important that the starting point be the first letter you represent. Okay, so if I add another point C here, and I went and drew this ray, what would you call it? Well, it starts at B and it goes to C. Easy enough, nothing to it. Okay, let's move on. All right, line segment. That seems pretty easy. Segment, sounds like it's got the word line in it. So let's cover that. A line segment, I'm going to get 2 points. A, and let's go crazy. H. Okay. If I connect those, but they don't go on forever, that's a line segment. A line segment is a portion of a line consisting of 2 points, and they're called endpoints, and all the points in between. So how would your teacher represent this on the board? Well, point A, point H, We'll draw a line over it, a line segment over it with no arrowheads. Is that the same as HA? Yeah, same thing. Okay? Very easy. Line segment. You'll see that a lot by your teacher. All right, the next thing I was asked to cover is what is an angle? Well, an angle is a figure formed by two rays with the same endpoint. The common endpoint is the vertex of the angle. Okay? And the rays are the sides of the angle. So you already learned what is an A, a ray. Okay, I'm going to write B, C, and A. I got 3 points here. And I'm going to draw one ray. I'm going to draw another ray. Okay, and that makes an angle. Now, your teacher may represent this many ways. Your teacher may write a number in here, like number 1, and call it angle 1. Some teachers add a little curve to their when they write angles. I don't. Another way to represent this, your teacher may write this, call it CBA. Angle CBA. Now, remember, B is called the vertex. The rays are called sides. B needs to be the middle letter because B, C, B, A, B is the vertex. Now, what if they reverse the letter order and call it A, B, C? Is that okay? Absolutely. It's the same. A, B, C is the same angle as C, B, A. You notice B is in the middle. It's the middle letter. Now, crazy word you're going to learn. In the middle, you often hear the word included. That just means in the middle. I'll be using included a lot. Best way to learn vocabulary is just to hear it. All right? Let's move on. We're cruising. This is easy. Now, what does the word congruent mean? Now, congruent is about shapes. Two circles are congruent if they're the same shape. Two triangles are congruent if they're the same shape, same size. Okay? And so that's what I meant to say when they're the same shape. They're the same shape and same size. Let's read this definition. Congruence is the relationships of shapes and sizes, such as segments, triangles, and geometric figures. So if you're thinking about the thing, the square, and it's congruent to the square, that's congruent. And you write it with an equal sign with a tilde over it, like the Spanish ñ. It's very similar. Okay. Now, how is that different than equals? See, I'm putting down these two cookies are congruent because they're the same shape and the same size. So let's go. What does equal mean? Well, what if I weighed the cookie? If you weigh the cookie, then you're getting a number. The weight of the cookie is a number. Okay? So, when you compare one number to another number, you don't use congruent, you use equal. Okay? So, let's see what they say over here. While equality is a relationship of size or length or width or height, congruence deals with objects. Equality deals with numbers. So if you measure something, then you're talking about if they're equal. If you're talking about the shapes, then they're talking about congruence. If you have any questions, just ask your teacher, and he or she will help you sort it out. Okay, let's move on. Okay, let's go over midpoint and segment bisector. This is pretty easy to understand. Let me get my document camera. And so a midpoint is just what it sounds like. If I have a point A and a point C, and where's my ruler? Right here. And this is a midpoint. Now I have segment AC. Now I want to find the midpoint. Well, it's in the middle. Midpoint, easy. Right here, right in the middle. And I'm going to go ahead and call that B. All right. Now, if it's in the midpoint, aren't these two segments the same? So this segment got cut in half by that midpoint. Now, segment bisector is similar but different. All right, if I have a segment, and I'm going to draw another one, and I got to use new letters because it's a whole different thing. So I'm going to call this one X and this Z. Now, along comes a line, and you might hear the word transversal because it transverses, went right over it. Now, this is a segment bisector if it cuts this right in half. So let's say it cuts it right in half, and I'm going to add a point, Y, where they meet. And I'm going to mark with 2 tally marks to show that these two sides are the same. So here's a midpoint, a point in the middle of a segment. Here's a segment bisector. Sounds like it has action in it. It bisected. It cut it right in half. This is a line. Now, it doesn't have to be a line. A segment bisector might be a ray. Cutting that in half. Now I'm going to put 3 tally marks. Okay, now let me show you what I'm doing here. The 1 tally mark says those are the same to each other, but they're not the same as these two. And these two are the same. But these are not the same as this. But these are the same. So when your teacher's using those tally marks, it's showing you which ones are the same as which ones. All right, I hope that helps. Segment, bisector, and midpoint. And I'm going to show you something. Okay, what's an angle bisector? Remember, an angle has 2 rays. One here, one here. I'm going to add some points. Okay, so you see that angle? What if I added a 3rd ray right here that cut this angle right in half? Right in half. Okay? Now your teacher's probably going to write little arcs in there. That means this one is the same as that one. I need to add a point to it. Now, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this angle right here. Angle ABD is congruent to angle CBD. Okay, that means these angles are the same thing. They're both angles, and they have the same measure. They're both angles, and they're congruent. Now, what if I took my protractor and I measured these angles? Now, if I measure the angle, that's a number. That's going to be like a degree. So we won't say they're congruent. We will say they are equal. Okay? So that'll help you out. Okay? Now, since we're done, there's one more thing I want to show you, and we're going to switch to an engineering program because I need to talk about plane. And plane is complicated to draw on a on a document camera. So I'm going to use an engineering software. Now, if you can see this, that's a square, right? Well, let's rotate it, and you can see it's actually a cube. Can you see that? Now, a plane is a flat surface that goes forever. Coplanar means that's something that's on the plane. All right? Now, I'm going to create a plane, and look at all these ways you can make a plane. But you don't have to learn all those. You only have to learn one. 3 points. 3 points that are not all lined up in a collinear manner make a plane. So I'm going to take the midpoint here on this segment and the midpoint on this segment, and that's going to be my second point. Now I need a third point that's right here on this midpoint right there. Now I just created a plane. Now, if I rotate it, you can see, you see that plane? It's like a little flat surface that goes through those 3 points. Now, let me see if I can make it a little bigger. Will you let me grab it? No. It's not letting me. There we go. One of these corners makes it bigger. No. Okay. So there we have a plane, and it goes forever. Okay, now planes are represented by a capital cursive letter. Okay, now planes don't come up too often, but let's just review a few things. What if I cut that surface off on that plane? Let's do that. Okay, I just cut that surface off. Let's just review a little bit of vocabulary words. I have this geometric shape. Okay, this right here is a face. This right here is an edge. Now an edge is a line segment. Get it? And this right here, this point, is a vertex. So the vertex on this shape is a point. Now, what if I did that, cutting that off on all the corners? How would that look? Let's take a look at that. Okay, I added some color for clarity, so it becomes a geometric shape with triangles and squares. We could 3D print that and roll it like a dice. Isn't geometry awesome? So there you have it. There's our vocabulary for the first day of school. If you have any questions, be sure and ask your teacher, and keep smiling.